I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Almond of First National. Thank you for being with us, Sarah. I think most people here know you, so I don't even think you need an intro.
They better by now.
Yeah. I think the only new person that you may not have known yet, but I think he has reached out to you, is Dean, and he is on the call, but he hasn't moved.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Dean, are you frozen? No, I'm kidding. We just got Dean's picture there, but Dean joins us from, he's giving us a thumbs up. Dean joins us, having most recently worked at BMO in their commercial department, and Dean's a pretty smart guy. He's kind of done a bunch of different employment within the financial sector. So anyway, we're glad to have Dean on board. So Sarah, all yours.
Great, thank you. And I have to say, you know what's ridiculous? Do you see Dave Iverson's picture? I actually, I thought that was him sitting there. And I was like, wow, he's really still. Give a wave. I was like, yeah, he's not moving. Anyway,
I was gonna say that Dave's put a nice deck pic up there, but I knew Brent would appreciate it.
It was funny. I was on one other funny story, and then I'll talk about the pre-app side, I promise. I was on a Zoom call this morning, and there was a B lender talking, and the rep goes, yeah, we do the dirty stuff. And I was biting my tongue so hard when I started doing my little bit, because I so badly wanted to say, I'll leave the dirty stuff to you. And over here at First Nat, we only do the clean stuff, but I bit my tongue and I didn't do that, but I was chuckling the whole time. Anyway, thanks for the time, everyone. I just wanted to pop on the call to talk to you all because I'm definitely seeing an uptick in pre-approvals. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware sort of the value of a First National pre-app and the nuances that come along with a First National pre-app. Again, obviously, with all the buzz about rates, we really are seeing an uptick in people using pre-approvals at First Nat. So I thought it'd be good to give the team a bit of a refresher. Feel free to ask any questions. Maybe Pete, if you want to just keep an eye on the chat. I never really know how to keep it up. Anyway, if there's any questions along the way, sure, feel free to interrupt regardless. So the first thing I always talk about with our pre-approvals is these pre-apps are softly underwritten. Okay, so again, softly underwritten, meaning that we do look at the client and we do look at the credit. And typically with a First National pre-approval, if we approve your pre-app, providing that the client is buying a property that is going to be an acceptable property to First Nat. So what I mean by that is it can't be a mobile in a park or something like that. So, but if you get a pre-app approved by First Nat, when your deal is live, again, providing that the collateral is acceptable to First Nat, then we'll go ahead and commit on that pre-approval. So a lot of times when a broker calls me and says, oh, I'm just not quite so sure about this credit situation, I always suggest, hey, send it in for a pre-app because you are getting actual eyes on the credit. So at least you'll know. And there's absolutely no downside of getting a decline or a canceled pre-approval. It doesn't play into any efficiency ratios that I know Deb takes super, super seriously, which I love. But pre-apps don't play into any of those metrics, so you don't need to worry about that. Pre-approval is good for a full 120 days, okay? And our pre-approval program, the rate will be bonused. So what I mean by that is currently the First National rates for pre-approvals for an insured file is 2.99%, and for a conventional file is 3.04%. So those two rates are about 10 basis points higher than our sale rates. Okay, and this is just sort of how the pre-approval system works. So if let's say you've got an insured pre-approval, whoops, sorry, got a call coming in. I always forget to put on do not disturb or whatever before these. So anyway, so let's say you've got an insured pre-approval. So you've sent it in, we approved it, the rate back is 2.99. Let's say that deal goes live next week. Okay, client managed to find something in this crazy market. They've made an offer, they got a property. And so when your deal is live, now when you submit it as a live file, if we have 2.89, which is our insured rate, you'll absolutely get the 2.89. Okay, if rates happen to skyrocket over the 2.99, then you are covered to 2.99, but it's absolutely not the rate that you're handcuffed to when the deal is live. Okay, so sometimes a broker, and actually I had one just this morning where the broker called and said, hey, sent in a pre-app, but it came back at 304. Why is that? Well, that's because that's the conventional pre-approval rate. When the deal's live, you'll get the sale rates that you always see us sending out. Okay, so another thing that's really important to note on pre-approvals is when you send us a pre-approval, you can only hold one product. Okay, so I'm going to give you two examples of that to explain what I mean there. Let's say you've got a client that's waffling between going adjustable or going fixed. You can only send one of those to First Nat then. Okay, because we can't hold two pre-approvals for one client. So you need to find out or have a really robust conversation with the client, hopefully drill down on what their intentions are to know what they're going to do. Because again, First Nat will only pre-approve one product. The other example, the other example that I like to give with this whole one product notion is, let's use an example of a high ratio pre-approval. So you've got a client and he says, putting 5% down. So then you send in a high ratio pre-approval. Okay. Then he gets a gift from mom and really he can put down 25% down. And he says, hey, this is great. Now I can escape that mortgage default insurance premium that you were telling me about. Well, if you have had that high ratio pre-approval with us at First Nat, you only held that product, a high ratio pre-approval. Okay, so the fact that now he's putting 25% down and it's going to be an insurable file or even an uninsurable file, because maybe he decides that he wants a 30-year RAM, you haven't held that rate. You only held the high ratio rate. And this is something that stung a few brokers. So I just want to really make sure you understand that concept. The other one that's actually stung really hard a month ago for me, and this scenario will always be ingrained in my brain, had a pre-app that came in and it was for 600,000. Everything was great. Client had been pre-approved for his max numbers and that was 600,000. Then the deal changes because he finds that he can't find anything for $600,000. So he adds mom as a co-signer. I think I might have actually explained this one to this team before, but anyway, we'll go through it again. He adds mom as a co-signer. So now he's shopping in the ballpark of 800,000. So drastically different and a material change to that pre-app. So the moral of the story is pre-approvals are dollar sensitive. You have a teeny bit of a buffer with 10% of the original approved amount. So if your client goes, sorry, another call. So if your client does go a smidgen up, you've got the 10% buffer. Going down is no problem. There's nothing wrong with reducing it, but you've only got up to 10% of that pre-approved amount. Then you'll be stuck with the rates at that time. Again, some brokers I have a lot of brokers that actually don't use us for pre-approvals. And part of that is, of course, there's a lot of sale rates around or quick close specials, that sort of thing. But we do find that when rates are sort of a hot topic media wise, we definitely see an increase in who's utilizing our pre-apps. Bureau has to be within 30 days when you submit that pre-app. So we want to see that bureau within 30 days. And we do have a max pre-approval amount of 1.5 million. Exceptions exist to that. So if you've got a high dollar value pre-app, pick up the phone and call me, because there is something that we can do to possibly help. And three things, four things. I've got four things I want to touch on. And I'll pass it over. Let's talk rate drops for a second, because let's say that you've got the pre-approval in, you've held the 2.99, and I know it's crazy to think about just given the interest rate environment that we're in today, but let's say something happens and rates do start dropping. Please always request a rate drop through the Merlin website or through the Merlin broker portal, because we always want to have that in writing, time stamped on our system. The other thing that I always like to point out is we're really good at rate drops. Not all lenders are. We recognize that we don't want to lose that deal any more than you do. So if there's something we can do, we used to say we only allowed a one-time rate drop, but when we have been in previous years in a decreasing rate environment, we absolutely allow more. If you have any questions about that, about a specific deal, always though, just you know where to find me. Don't be scared to reach out. Okay, three more things. Second thing is if you know a client is not going ahead with First National for the pre-approval, let us know. You don't have to, we don't require it, but if you 100% know that they bought and you had to take the deal elsewhere, or for whatever reason, they're just not going ahead anymore, just flip us an email, whether it's me, whether it's over the Merlin portal, whether it's straight to Shadi, just let us know, because the pre-approval program costs us some money because we're actually hedging funds. There's a cost behind the scenes to us. So if we can release those funds, it's just nice for us. Definitely, it's not a must do. It's just something, if you happen to remember, hey, it's kind of nice just so we can adjust our system. Okay, so then my second out of four things is, what is it? Oh, refinance special. We still have our refinance promotion where the client can get that $1,000 to cover legal fees or what have you, right at the lawyers. And we've got that running, fingers crossed, for the month of February. So if you've got some clients that are maybe, haven't decided to pull the trigger and refinance, maybe that's something that you can use to entice them a little bit. Please, please, please ask for the special in your notes. Just mention special, promo, refi promo, $1,000, whatever, just something that gives a heads up to that refinance promotion. Okay, then my last thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't have the details on this yet, but it sounds like some of our sliding scale numbers are moving for the Okanagan. I haven't heard it exactly what the policy is going to say, but apparently there's been some loosening up with our sliding scale. So fingers crossed within the next day or two, you'll have some sort of note from me that talks a little bit more about a generous sliding scale. Again, I don't 100% know what areas. You'll get the notice from me when we know more, but I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a heads up that you will be receiving an email in the next day or two about sliding scale as those property prices edge up. And that's it for the First National show, for the Sarah show.
It's a good show. So one of the things that I always find interesting on pre-approvals is that the 120 days is the time in which you have to have that file funded. It's not the pre-approval time. So it's not like you can get an offer accepted at day 110 and then extend it for another while. So just remember that on pre-approvals, it's got to be funded within that 120.
Yeah, totally. Thank you, Pete, for sure. Was there anything in the chat? I didn't notice, although I did see a message from Deb pop up.
Deb mentioned that we funded close to 10 million in, I'm guessing this is 2022, an 85% funding ratio.
Yeah, I actually wanted to give a shout out for the funding ratio because that actually popped up on one of my reports as being the highest for my territory right now. So thank you very much. Yep, and that is a definite achievement, especially in January. Sorry, especially for the beginning of the year, because what happens is a lot of deals sometimes get pushed, and the broker doesn't cancel them from the previous year. So we do find that our funding ratios kind of seem to take a hit early in the year. And so a huge testament for this to be over 80 is fantastic. Yeah. I
People are
just saw
probably wanting
David's
to
comment,
fund
and the
them.
level of fear hasn't changed. Anyway, sorry, what was that, Peter?
I was going to say that people are wanting to fund those mortgages because they don't want to lose these purchases. There's no other houses to buy.
I know. It's the other day I sent out a couple emails to brokers that had pre-approvals in the system with us, and just to make sure to remind them that hey, you've got these. Let's fingers crossed. Let's hope these go live. And usually I do that once a year, and we're in this sort of rate environment, so it's an activity that I do maybe a couple times a year. And never before have I had so many responses that said, yeah, I'd like those to go live too, but there's no inventory, or they can't qualify for what they want, or they've been outbid on every single property. Like never before to the extent as what I've had this year. So it is it is crazy.
Unique times for sure.
Yeah. Hey Kristen. Okay. Cool.
Does
Any
anyone have
questions or anything else for me?
Yeah, I was just going to say, any questions out there?
Remain silent, forever hold your peace, whatever that is. Cool.
All right. Well, Sarah, if you want to pop off, we'll carry on the meeting for the rest of the crew. And if anyone has any questions, I think you've got everyone's contact. Yeah, everyone has.
Yeah. Well, maybe Dean, I'll reach out to you and just make sure that we connect, because obviously I'd love some time to go over some First Nat stuff, and I don't think I have reached out to Dean yet, so that's great.
Okay, and he was on the email list that I sent you, so you have his contact in there as well.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. It's so nice to see you. Okay, talk to you soon. Okay,
bye.
Bye.